In this video, I'll be explaining how immigrants, even undocumented immigrants that are illegally here, commit less crime than American-born citizens.
So first of all, to the crime. Immigrants to the U.S. are far less likely to wind up in the criminal justice system than native-born Americans, according to data from the 2010 American Community Survey. 3.3% of males between the ages of 18 and 39 who were born in the U.S. have been incarcerated. That's compared to only 1.6% of immigrants in the same age range.
We have a lower incarceration rate for Mexican immigrants and illegal immigrants than we do for any U.S.-born citizens.
It's a wrong statistic. Go check your numbers. It's totally wrong. It sounds good. It sounds good. It's a wrong statistic. Check your numbers.
You heard 'em. American citizens are committing crimes at an alarming rate compared to immigrants, which is why we need an open border policy to reduce crime. The more people that come from a country with a higher crime rate than ours, the better. We want every single one of the immigrants, even undocumented, to come over, and then we can finally live in a peaceful and progressive society. And a possible explanation of American citizens have been here for 20 years, and many immigrants have only been here for a few short months, and they should probably compare the rate and not the total raw figure. That way of thinking is straight up crazy talk. And since I'm so progressive, and progressives are known for letting other people get a chance at the debate, I'm gonna let my evil, white, twin, racist brother tell his side of the story, but we all know it's just a formality at this point. He's actually gonna try to argue that there's probably other explanations for these statistics. Read the article and actually look at the study. What an idiot. Thanks, bro, for that lovely introduction. And the first obvious point I want to make is that native-born Americans that have lived here continuously their entire lives, they're going to have a higher chance to have been incarcerated than a group of immigrants that haven't lived here. You can't be incarcerated in America if you don't even live in America. I would think that's a pretty obvious point, but apparently not to this person. The next thing I want to draw attention to is that legal immigrants that are coming to the United States are not random, they are specifically chosen. I found this at immigrationpolicy.org, and it summarizes who the United States gives preferential treatment to. And the number one preferential treatment that we give is that if the person is of extraordinary ability. The number two is if they have a professional or advanced degree. 3 is if they're a skilled worker with experience or a college degree. 4 is if they're a religious worker or government employee. And 5 is if they will invest $500,000. So it's quite clear that the United States is choosing people that are likely to be productive members of society and not likely to commit crimes. We're not randomly choosing immigrants.
Pew research says that there are, for immigrants on the whole,
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this on television, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Try getting it out. Go ahead.
Immigrants commit less crime than U.S.-born citizens.
Okay.
There are less immigrants in our jails.
So all in all, this statistic is basically useless. You're comparing two groups that are not at all the same, and I've yet to go into how they got these numbers or if they're reliable or what study they used. And in my opinion, if you think this statistic has any relevance or significance, you're a complete fucking moron.
Males between 18 to 39 prime crime age, half as likely to have interacted with the criminal justice system in the past. That is amazing. How is that not front page news?
No offense, but you are a stupid asshole.
Let's finally dive in to the Washington Post article that the Young Turks cite, and it's Surprise. Donald Trump is wrong about immigrants and crime by Philip Bump. He first talks about Trump's comments about immigrants, specifically illegal immigrants. And now here's the first statistical finding they have, and it's from the Pew Research Center. And it's that the native-born and second-generation immigrants are about the same involvement in crime in the previous 12 months, and first-generation is significantly lower. And like I said earlier, we're specifically choosing immigrants that are less likely to commit crime. And if an immigrant's 16 and just moved here, they're clearly not going to be involved in a crime in the previous 12 months. And another thing that I'm going to go into later is the actual study that they used to get this data. The populations and methodologies they used are either straight up comical of how poorly it was done, or that they have a specific narrative they want to push and they found the data that fit their narrative. My bet's on the latter. This is my favorite quote from the entire article because it's finally talking about the undocumented immigrants that Trump was referring to. And it's since undocumented immigrants are more than a quarter of the immigrant population, it's nearly impossible that the overall immigrant crime rate could be so much lower if the undocumented immigrant crime rate were significantly higher. When you actually look at the study, they did a survey of legal immigrants. Undocumented immigrants weren't even in the study. So this sentence doesn't even make any sense because they have no data on undocumented immigrants. Doesn't stop them though, I guess, from saying it does. And then we have, there's essentially no correlation between immigrants and violent crime. It's not immigrants, it's illegal immigrants. And it's also important to point out that illegal immigrants, the United States doesn't know that they're here, and it's a lot harder to find them when they commit crimes than citizens. And here, immigrants are underrepresented in California prisons compared to their representation in the overall population. Immigrants, especially illegal immigrants, they don't go to prison, they get deported. So it's no fucking shit that they're underrepresented because they don't go there. It's hard to believe people are this stupid. Oh, sorry, excuse me. The politically correct term is progressive. And then here they have incarceration rates lowest among immigrants. Especially true for these people who make a bulk of the undocumented population. Here's the Police Foundation. Oops, I guess it's, they don't have, oops. That concludes the statistical analysis from the Washington Post of the study that I'll go into. And basically we are just left with the author of the article's progressive rant about how Trump gets it so wrong, the progressive's right. Everybody else is stupid. The progressive is an amazing person. Everybody else is a bigot. And then it's funny because the progressive author probably admits that he's not very intelligent when it comes to statistics and math, yet he's writing an entire article on a subject he knows little to nothing about. So now we have the study where all these conclusions were based off of, and I'm going to show you that the researchers of the study had a clear narrative they wanted to be pushed, and they made it blatantly obvious. In the first sentence of this section, they say that the sample is representative of people living in the U.S. in 1997. But then we find out later that the sample had about 9,000 youth, and the larger portion was a general sample representative of the general U.S. population, and that the remaining portion of the sample is an oversample of Hispanic and African American youth living in the U.S. That's pretty interesting. Why would they do that? This led to the representative sample, in big quotes, that 30% of the native-born youth were African American. I'll let you be the judge of why they did that and if that'll have an impact on the study. And then we go on to the next section, self-reporting offending. So the summary of this section is basically that cops are racist and that they profile immigrants and brown people, like they say here, the emergence of driving while brown, and that this will create bias in the actual crime statistics that will work against the immigrants. So we need to have the immigrants self-report their crimes and see if that is the same as the citizens that report their crimes. So here we have a statement. Few studies investigating the immigration crime nexus have examined alternative measures of crime such as self-reported involvement in crime. There's a reason why so few have done it, because you don't ask immigrants, have they committed a crime, when they're pressured not to, and they might be deported if they committed a crime. The conclusions all these people are drawing are using this incredibly biased study that's looking at immigrants, not even illegal immigrants, that Donald Trump's specifically talking about.
Illegal immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrants. I'm not talking about immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrant. I'm an immigrant. You're an immigrant. We're all immigrants.
Illegal immigrants commit less crime other than coming through illegally.
And I base that on absolutely nothing.
And after all this, if you truly believe that illegal immigrants commit less crime than American citizens, how about you move to a neighborhood filled with illegal immigrants? Something tells me you'll quickly change your mind. What do you say about that, progressive twin brother? You're racist.